everybody. This is Mike with On Point Preparedness. Sorry for the little hiatus. Just have a whole bunch of activities and stuff going around the house, doing lots of prepping. Maybe do some videos about that here shortly. I think I'm going to try to do shorter videos, maybe one a day here for the week to catch up on a whole bunch of news and other things. But this one's going to be specifically focused on the Don, if you will. He's been in the news a lot, has said some very interesting things, and so I wanted to cover that in a short video before we get into the other topics later on throughout the week. So let's move on over here to the screen share and share with you some of the bombshells that he has shared recently. This is all within the past week or so. So regarding his indictment, and I'm going to refer back to this video I did about 2 weeks ago. It said, "Will the Don be martyred?" Essentially, it seems like it's being set up that way, where he will be indicted, and that will cause some serious things to happen here. But regarding that, he went public with an interviewer and pretty much very vaguely said, yes, this is what's going to happen. You're going to have something happen that has never been seen before. Let's just hear his own words on this, because it's very ominous. It's very eerie. So without further ado.
You know the old saying, a prosecutor can indict a ham sandwich if they want to. I'm just asking, if there is such a prosecutor and they indict you, would that deter you from running for president again?
I don't think the people of the United States would stand for it. And as you know, if a thing like that happened, I would have no prohibition against running. You know that. You've already
I do, and that's what I want people to understand. That would not take you out of the arena.
It would not. But I think if it happened, I think you'd have problems in this country, the likes of which perhaps we've never seen before. I don't think the people of the United States would stand for it.
What kind of problems, Mr. President?
I think they'd have big problems. Big problems. I just don't think they'd stand for it. They will not sit still and stand for this ultimate of hoaxes.
So this is a little bit like calling the kettle black. Obviously, he has such a staunch following that, yeah, there would be revolt, there would be rebellion, there would be riots. But him coming out and saying this, again, in a very obscure type of fashion, giving him plausible deniability, it really is working on the subconscious and almost encouraging people to do that. And, here's some of the quotes. "I think you'd have problems in this country, the likes of which perhaps we've never seen before." So, timings of this whole thing, obviously there's midterms coming up in November. A lot of people said that this indictment would not happen before then. They don't want to rile things up. But everything on the legal side, from what I'm seeing, is they said they're very close to releasing an indictment. Like, this thing pretty much seems like it's a go. It's just a matter of when. And best timings on the win is, again, sometime after midterms. But that, and I think Lindsey Graham and other people have said, you do not want to do that. Even if you have evidence to suggest that he's guilty, you do not want to do that based on what will happen to the country. So this is something that we're really going to have to keep an eye on. And if you're a new subscriber to this channel, highly suggest you watch my video on 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and the restrainer, because I believe if this does happen this way, it all plays into it. Let's look at some of the other things that have been said here by the Don. So, well, I'm going to skip over this one here for a second. He's been very active on his Truth Social media site, and the media is obviously all over it, and they're looking at everything that he's posting, and as this title implies, he's sharing a barrage of the Q stuff and other quote-unquote conspiracy theories, which, we know are not necessarily just conspiracy. A lot of them are, in fact, hints of truth in them. But let's look at this one here, particularly with what's mentioned in the article. Down below, I just found this very interesting. The AP says, Trump's recent postings have included images referring to himself as a martyr fighting criminals, psychopaths, and the so-called deep state. And I don't know exactly which post they were referring to with him treating himself as a martyr, but I thought it's very interesting that they are saying that he's inferring this. He's referring to himself as a martyr through his postings. And again, I did this video 2 weeks ago, probably before, well, yeah, when was this AP article written? This was on September 16th and it's 19th. So I did this video before this article came out, and I'm not sure whether it was before he made these postings, but it was, "Will Trump be martyred?" And the reason why I entitled it that way is way back when, this is, well, where's the dates? The dates disappeared. This was, over a year ago, but talking about disturbing trends and how Trump seems to have this very religious parallel pathing to Christ. Whether it's intentional on his part or whether this is just spiritual warfare, you can see tons and tons of references with him being referred to as like a Christ. Obviously, he's had his head on this Israeli coin, almost like he's the next King Cyrus. A lot of these articles that I cover in the video, Trump needs a Moses moment. You can see him here where he's almost parting the Red Sea. If I can get to that, yeah, it's a little bit hard to get to here. But yeah, tons and tons of images with him resurrecting on the third day. Whenever he lost the election, people said just like Christ was risen and people lost hope, so too is what's going to happen with Trump. Here's the photo right here. And recently, it just seems like he wants to be martyred. Like he wants that image. And that's what I talked about 2 weeks ago in this video, "Will Trump be martyred?" And just interestingly enough, had no idea that he was having several postings with images referring to himself as a martyr. So again, looking at the spiritual deception behind this, as well as the consequence of an indictment, it's something I think we definitely need to follow. Another thing that was in this article, and referring to him openly embracing now and amplifying the Q movement, it said here, earlier this month at one of his rallies, I think this was at one of the Pennsylvania ones, he chose a Q song to close out a rally. The same song that appeared in one of his recent campaign videos and is titled "Where We Go One, We Go All," an acronym used as a rallying cry for that movement. And so let's go over to this last video here, closing his Pennsylvania rally. And again, it's made to look like a movie. It's made to have that Braveheart type of feel to it. Let's have a listen.
There is no mountain we cannot climb. There is no summit we cannot reach. There is no challenge we cannot meet. There is no victory we cannot have. We will not bend, we will not break, we will not yield. We will never give in, we will never give up. We will never, ever, ever back down. As long as we are confident and united, the tyrants we are fighting do not stand even a chance, because we are Americans and Americans kneel to God and God alone.
So Americans kneel to God and God alone. And what we've been seeing is, if you're on the conservative right, you're the righteous. If you're on the left, you're evil, when in fact both sides are very much evil in the sight of the Lord. He definitely sees both things as evil, and those with discernment see the evil of both sides. But we're given this option here. Let me see if I can find the images here. Yeah, like these. Again, it's almost like the devil is trolling people, literally like night and day. Many of you will remember this iconic photo of Biden here And that got worldwide attention. And then they contrast it with the light. The darkness versus the light. This has been a very prevalent theme over the last couple years. Again, much of which I've detailed in this video from over a year ago, disturbing trends regarding Trump idolatry. Let's see here. What else do I have? Oh, this other big one. So Trump is calling on Congress to immediately institute the death penalty for drug dealers. Let's just have a listen, and I want to compare this to something else he said recently.
And I think it's much worse than that. I think that's only what we hear about. It would stop. If you didn't get it down 75, 80, 90% from day one, I'd be surprised. And these committees that they set up, it's laughable. It's a horrible thing. We would solve that problem so fast, and I'm calling on Republicans and Democrats immediately to get to Washington and institute the death penalty for drug dealers. You will no longer have a problem.
And I think he may have even talked about trafficking too, and the death penalty for that. And so, like, a lot of people would say, hey, that's a good thing. But again, just looking at Trump and things that he's suggested before, I see this frequency in which he's always yielding to the death penalty, to use that as a way to deal with problems, particularly when you had this whole Russia hoax thing, and you had what was the guy's name? I can't even believe I forget it. The Durham report. When it was revealed that there was no link between him and Russia, he put out, it was either tweets or something on his social media account saying, this is a scandal far greater in scope and magnitude than Watergate, and those who were involved in and knew about this spying operation should be subject to criminal prosecution. In a stronger period, this is the important part, in a stronger period of time in our country, this crime would have been punishable by death. The former president said, in addition, reparations should be paid to those in our country who have been damaged by this. But so I'm just, again, trends are very, very important, especially spiritual trends. And if you think about, again, I don't think that Trump, I can't say that Trump is the Antichrist. He's on my short list. But in all honesty, my position is we need to know the characteristics of who the Antichrist is like. We need to know all the different characteristics about the Antichrist. But in terms of making assumptions of who it is at this very point in time, it's not really necessary. As long as you understand the characteristics of how Antichrist behaves, then when Antichrist comes to power, the time in which it really matters, then you won't be deceived. And so you very much need to understand the persona and the characteristics and the typologies of the Antichrist. But in terms of, giving an opinion, saying it's this person or that, again, it's better that we just wait. He's on my short list, but particularly just looking at this harsh rule, just saying anyone, how he deals with certain people is just by frequently looking at the death penalty, it's just a concerning thing. Let's see what else I got here. I'm not going to play this, but essentially he refers to Biden in that picture and says he's like the devil. Again, making this contrast between him being the light and Biden being the dark devil. Let's see. I got a couple more, just two more images for you just to see what's going on some of these rallies. They are still massively huge. Let's take a look at this one. I think it's still Pennsylvania.
Hey, let's pan the crowd a little bit because we've got this going in a 360-degree angle.
Yes.
Can we pan it?
Yeah, it was amazing just now. To hear that.
Let's take a look at another one. They do a contrast with Biden versus Trump. So this was actually, interestingly, they were both at Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. They both had rallies back to back, and so they compare and contrast. Obviously, you know what the outcome is going to be. That's a full house. And then
anything else?
It's just so
you realize
terrible.
that? The point is, we ask so much of you. So much of you. I've done a lot of these videos just showing. I think one of the most prevalent things, at least in social media, is that YouTube completely took off the dislikes because of just the massive amounts of dislikes that the White House official YouTube channel and other channels affiliated with the MSNBC and things like that, they were just getting unbelievable massive dislikes, like 10,000 dislikes to 1,000 likes. Again, the majority of the country knows we're in bad times, and there's a lot of people that are saying, hey, I didn't really like Trump, but I'd rather have Trump versus what we got right now. So going back to the original point of this whole video, again, it's almost as if like this, and by no means am I a supporter of AP or mainstream media news, but I just think it's a very interesting comment that they said that Trump's recent postings have included images referring to himself as a martyr. So he wants to be seen as a martyr. And he's talking about what the net outcome of his martyrdom would be, that he wants people to rise up. He wants people to rebel. And you wonder if they're actually going to make that move, and it seems like they're prepared to. They really do want to destroy him. I mean, to them, he's a threat, and they want to destroy that threat. And just because he's a threat doesn't mean that he's righteousness. I mean, this is a battle between the flesh, between Democrats and Republicans, and they just want to destroy their enemy. And I think that they think they have enough control over the populace that they're willing to take that risk and just try to quell whatever resistance happens if they do this. So we still got some time. It's really nice that we've got this period of relative peace, but towards the end of this calendar year, we're just really going to have to watch and see what happens with this. So that's all I got for you today on this particular topic. Again, it's been about a little bit over a week, so I wanted to break things up into a couple videos. We are going to look at more and more riots that are spreading across the world due to energy. I want to share with you lots and lots of videos. And I want to also do a prepping video on all the things that I have been doing over the past couple months to prepare for really high energy costs. I know a lot of our brothers and sisters over in Europe are facing that a lot worse than us here in North America, and Canada, and the United States, and Mexico. Things are relatively okay. I mean, they're still getting expensive, but they pale in comparison to what Europe is facing. So I want to give you some tips with regards to how you can prepare that way too. So I hope this was useful. Good to be back, and I'll see you maybe tomorrow or the next day with some more content. This is Mike with On Point Preparedness. God bless.